Around September of 2019, I started lifting weights. I enjoyed it so much that it quickly became a key part of my lifestyle and identity. So much so that in October of 2022, I entered my first bodybuilding competition and placed 4th place. A year later, I released my best-selling book, Muscular Christianity, to merge my two favorite things ever, fitness and faith. From about June of 2022 until March of 2023, I became exceedingly interested in building as much muscle as possible. Now, obviously before that, I was gaining a lot of muscle, but during that period, I said, I'm gonna do everything I can. All of my effort is going to be into building as much muscle as possible. Before I was focused on, retaining some calisthenic skills here and there, but now I was fully integrated, fully invested in just building as much muscle as possible because I was preparing for a bodybuilding competition. And after the bodybuilding competition, I was kind of upset that I lost. And then I'm like, I'm gonna make sure I win next time. And in the process, I became really strong too. I believe my max bench press at the time was 265 for 10 reps. And if you watch the video, I probably had 1 or 2 reps in reserve, meaning that for what it's worth and for how accurate it can be when you're doing 10 reps, my max bench press was about 350, 360 pounds estimated, although I never actually went out and did that. Around February of 2023 is probably when my physique peaked, and it basically culminated in this picture. Although I have some other pictures that I'm going to share throughout the video to gauge how I've changed from now since a year ago. But on March 19th of 2023, I had a near fatal car accident when I was trying to pick up my dad from the airport. I was on a highway and I completely lost control of my car. I crashed into a big road sign when I was going about 110 kilometers an hour, and I believe that's about 70 miles an hour. And over the past year, I've been trying to recover from this accident. As you would imagine, things got kind of rough. I injured my left shoulder, my left hip, and my right ankle. So walking around the house for the first week was extremely painful. Walking up and down the stairs specifically was still painful even months after. Just recently, I believe, walking up the stairs doesn't hurt anymore. I've now regained the ability to walk up the stairs normally, so that's pretty nice. So needless to say, I've been unable to do any exercise really. I mean, how many exercises can you really do with an injured shoulder, with an injured hip, and an injured ankle? I mean, I guess I could do like one-armed movements, but I don't want to create imbalances, so I just didn't bother doing like only work with my right arm, for example. Now, comment down below what exercises I could do, but I believe when I tried going to the gym one time, just out of curiosity, I could only really do leg extensions without hurting myself. Bicep curls I could kind of do, but if you go really heavy, your shoulder starts to work a bit. It's just inevitable. So I couldn't really get much work in there. Any compound movement really is off limits because your hip and your shoulder and your ankle work a lot in those exercises. Tricep push downs was also really difficult to work on. Anyways, let me know what you guys think I could possibly hypothetically work on. I'm just curious. So since March 2023, I haven't been able to exercise, or at least I haven't been able to exercise to the point where I could gain muscle. The most I could really do, honestly, is like lift my camera equipment to make this video. Moving furniture around the house kind of hurts, and moving heavy things in general hurts. So I haven't been able to work out to the point where I'm able to gain any muscle. If you want more information on my predicament, I made a video on this a couple months ago explaining it in more detail. But let's get into the transformation now. Let's take a look at how my physique compared from last year to this year. All right, so here we have the first picture is my back here. The back lat spread. You can see there's a major size difference. There's a major depth difference even. I mean, just look at the depth here on the first picture. Obviously the top picture is the before and the bottom picture is the after. You see the depth here, you see all the muscles, all the almost like robotic muscles there. They almost look like, parts of a robot that you just smash together, and then that's my back. And then the bottom part here, you can see there's barely any definition, like maybe a little bit of definition right there. You can still see it kind of coming through right there, but obviously I'm a much higher body fat percentage because I have less muscle to go around. Because when you have more muscle, then it lowers your body fat percentage by association because you're increasing your muscle to fat ratio. And also you can see here there's this birthmark or something like that here on my back. At least I presumed it was a birthmark before, but I think nowadays I'm realizing that I just never actually washed that part of my back, because when you get muscle, when you get big arms, you're not able to stretch you're not able to like touch your back pretty much. And I lost that ability around 2020 or 2019 or something like that, shortly after I started lifting, and I was unable to touch all the parts of my back. So perhaps I as I was taking showers, I was able to touch that part of my back, and then I realized that's not actually a birthmark. That's just probably never actually washed that part. And also, as you can see here, the triceps here are much bigger on the top part, as opposed to here where they're pretty much maybe not non-existent, but they aren't nearly as pronounced as they otherwise would be. And yeah, that's the first picture. The next picture here is a picture I took of just myself in my bathroom. I had this is a good picture to compare. Oh, and before I go on, this is completely natural. The before and the after, all of it is natural. I've never touched a drug in my life. I've never even seen a steroid in my life. These were all natural muscles and then a natural muscle deflation. This is what you can expect naturally after not working out for a year. First thing you'll notice here is that my phone has the phone case is worn out, as you can see there. This one used to be pitch black, now it's like a grayish, bluish thing. Not sure what's going up there. But as for the actual content, as you can see, my forearms were much more defined and toned before. You can even see a little bit of veins if you look carefully, as opposed to here where you'll see basically nothing. And just so you know, as like a by the way sort of thing, none of these pictures have any pump. I didn't have a pump in any of these pictures. I made sure to, if I had a pump, I'll let you know if I had a pump, because I keep logs of that stuff. This picture I didn't have any pump, and the lighting is also much better in the right picture. Like it's much more white lighting as opposed to the more contrasty lighting of the left picture. I think that'll help pronounce my muscles more. But yeah, it's the same bathroom. We just changed the lights. So as you can see there, my forearms aren't as big, and with my legs, you'll see that my legs are a bit more defined in the left picture. As you can see, there's a teardrop there more so, as opposed to in here where it's not really all that prominent. The sweep is also a bit more pronounced, I think, on this leg as opposed to on here. But my legs were never really my strong suit to begin with, so that's why you won't see as much of a difference there. Here's another leg picture. The bottom one is the after picture. The bottom one picture is one I took like a couple of days ago, just for this comparison. The top one is from before. As you can see, now you can see the sweep is much more prominent on this left leg of mine, or is that the right leg? I forget. And as you can see here, it's much more defined on that as opposed to in here, where it's basically not really there anymore. But it's just kind of what you would expect to not be working out for a year. But it's actually surprisingly, it still looks pretty muscular. Their legs are still pretty muscular. They're still pretty close to what they were like before. And again, that's probably because my legs were never really the strong suit in my body. It was more so like everything else besides my legs. So next picture here is the most muscular picture. This picture I actually had a pump. This was right after going to the gym, and this was a couple months after my bodybuilding competition. So this actually was in 2022, like November, December of 2022, as opposed to having it be in December 20. The other pictures were all in 2023, but this one's in 2022. So just thought I'd let you know about that right off the gate. Obviously, as you see here, I'm much more, the bicep vein is much more pronounced there. I'm like one paper cut away from like a serious injury, as the meme goes. My forearms also, again, are much bigger here as opposed to in this one where they are pretty flat. This one, there's some depth, as you can see there. My six pack, of course, is much more deep and much more pronounced in this picture. And in this picture, I look like I'm kind of fat, but I'm like flexing my abs as much as I can. As opposed to this picture where I look extremely lean and I'm also flexing my abs. And also, as you can see here, the striations on the chest, that's just from being lean and being muscular. And this one, no striations. So it's kind of funny because this one I look bigger and I look leaner, as opposed to this one where I look smaller and I look smaller and I have less muscle. All right, so the next picture here is the side chest. The lighting's a bit different here. The lighting is much better in this top photo as opposed to the bottom photo. That's unfortunate. I wasn't able to recreate this lighting. I just had to go to my bathroom and do the pose. But I think it gets the point across. The top picture is much better. You can see there's much better striations in the shoulder here, as opposed to this one where you can barely, there's a little bit of an indent here with where my shoulder muscles are, but nowhere near as big as it was before. And also you can see a much more of a bulge on my bicep. as opposed to, I should probably highlight this. I was just I'm just saying it in my head. The highlight here, yeah, there's a much bigger bulge on the bicep there, as you can see, as opposed to the original, opposed to the latest picture where the bicep is basically not there. And this is because my bicep has shrunk. And if you want to know the specific measurements of my bicep before my injury, I believe it was 17.5 inches. And my bicep after I measured it yesterday, it's like a nick under 16 inches, so like 15.7, 15.8, 15.9 if you really want to gas it up, but clearly below 16 inches. Whereas this one, the top picture was clearly above 17 inches, but not quite at 18 inches. And this also, this photo didn't have any pump. But if I did have a pump, I know that my bicep can get up to 18 inches if I have a really good pump. But naturally, just relaxed, it's about 17.5, 17.6. It was something like that. This one here, again, the front lat spread. As you can see here, I changed the case on my watch there. That's beside the point. Biceps, again, much more striated on the top pose. This is the pose. This is the picture I had a pump in. It's the same picture, same photo shoot that I took with the other picture. Same gym, as you can tell. The chest there is much more. You can see much more separation between the different chest muscles. And this is because of when you gain muscle, your muscles start to separate more. They start to show more contrast. And I don't really have that contrast right now because I am out of shape. And you can see the abs there also. The abs are much more, it looks like I'm much more skinny in the top photo. I guess I am a little bit more skinny. I think I was about 170 pounds in this photo, as opposed to this photo where I was about 100, where right now I'm about 100, I think I'm about 176 or something like that. So I'm a bit more puffy, I weigh a bit more, but in the other photos I'm going to show you, I was actually about 185, and but yeah, anyways. Shoulder muscles here, much bigger, much more pronounced in the top photo as opposed to the bottom photo. Even the lats here, you can see that there's a much more of a, like you can see here, there's like a little bit of a bulge there, as opposed to this one, there's less of a bulge, and this one, it's much, and with the top photo, you can see a much more clean sort of V there, as opposed to this one where it's like there's a bit of muscle there, but then you can clearly see my stomach there. Whereas this one, the back and the stomach, they flow seamlessly together, and it just creates a streamlined sort of V look, as opposed to the bottom photo. So this is the photo where I was about 185 pounds, whereas in the other photos I was about 100. You know, about the one where I had a pump. This one I don't have a pump. The previous photo where I showed you where I had a pump, I was about 170, 172. It was right after my bodybuilding competition, maybe like 3 weeks after that. And this photo, about 176 pounds. You know, usually when you stop working out or when you stop paying attention to your exercise, you like gain weight. But I have a propensity to be skinny. I wouldn't call myself a hard gainer or anything, but I definitely had to stuff my face in order to gain muscle, in order to gain weight. But yeah, as you can see here, I don't have a cross right now. I just forgot to put on that cross. Don't take that as an indication of my lack of piety. My piety has grown exponentially in this past year, and perhaps that's a lesson for all of you. You know, you can go through struggling times, but take that as an opportunity to grow, as opposed to a moment to wallow in self-pity. That's beside the point. You can see here, my shoulder is much bigger here. It's completely bulging out of my side. There's extreme contrast between my traps and my shoulder, whereas this one, it sort of flows with the rest of my body, which is not ideal if you want big contrasts between, if you want your shoulder muscles to really pop out and have big contrast and make you look really buff. My chest also seems to sag a bit more on the left photo, and that's clearly because I have more muscle there. Whereas this one, it's not really much contrast. It just sort of flows. It more so flows with the rest of my torso, upper body sort of area. What's funny actually with here is that my lats are so much bigger on the left photo. Maybe you don't see as much, but on the left photo, my lats are so much bigger, and I think that is that shows in how my arm is further out on the left photo as opposed to the right photo, because as you can see here, my left arm, it is much more closer to my body, as opposed to in this one where my left arm is much more, I think it's my right arm actually, but regardless, it's much more close to my body. So you can see I have much more separation in general with the left photo. And as you know, I tried to match the photos as best as I could. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to do it perfectly. I wouldn't be able to, I'm not in the same position, but I tried to recreate the position as best I could given the cues I gave myself when taking these photos. Alright, so now that I've erased all the marks again, I want to show you one more thing. Something I've noticed here also is that my bicep is a lot wider. My arm is a lot wider. Perhaps that's due to my tricep muscles, or it's due to when your bicep gets bigger, it gets a bit more round. It's able to fill more space. Not just the peak gets bigger, but the actual the width of the bicep actually gets wider. So I thought that was interesting. And also my forearms there are much smaller. Of course, much more contrast between this forearm as opposed to that forearm. You can see the little bit of like a muscle here that's coming up, whereas this one is just flat. Now I want to show you guys some pictures of myself in clothes. So as you can see here, the left side almost looks like the shirt's like ripping out. My arm is almost like ripping straight out of the photo. Honestly, the left side almost looks like a cartoon character. If you see Omni-Man or Superman or something like that, and how they wear clothes and how it's super tightly fitted on them, I almost look like that in the left photo. Maybe not quite to that extent, but you get the idea. As opposed to this one where my arm looks like it's probably, it looks like the shirt actually fits me properly. As opposed to in this one, it looks like the shirt is choking my skin or something like that. As opposed to, the left side, I should probably keep doing this. Left side looks like it's choking my skin as opposed to the right side where it looks like it's loosely fitted. I mean, it's still kind of tight on me. I think it's just the regular fit of the shirt. I sort of bought it like that on purpose so that way I could pronounce my muscles. So obviously, yeah, you can see there the left side, it looks like it's much more tight, and you can even tell very clearly, you can very easily tell that I've lost a significant amount of weight and a significant amount of muscle. And in the left photo, it looks like I'm some sort of freak of nature, as the right photo looks like I'm like, a normal guy. Same one here. This photo, I was actually, when I put on the shirt, it was actually like starting to rip. So I feel like if I did any sort of sudden jerky movement or anything, I would have actually ripped this shirt because it's way too small for me. But this one, I can move around it freely and there was no issue at all. I was very much, it fit me more comfortably, as you can tell right there, The arms and the chest, I think, are the most prominent things that bulge out through these kind of shirts, right? Because as you can see, the chest is like bulging out through the shirt, and the arms especially are bulging out through. The forearms aren't as prominent. The forearms are still, you can still kind of see, there's a pretty big difference. And the forearms, I think, are a very important muscle for the overall look and physique if you're wearing a shirt all the time. The forearms, I think, are a very important, very underrated part of your arms, a part of your physique in general that really stands out when you want to look big. Hint, hint, girls really like that. And this one, the same thing. My forearms, you can even see how loose the skin is here. Just like look over here how loose the skin is as opposed to here. I guess my watch is also covering it a bit. But regardless, it looks much more loose on the left side as opposed to the right side, just looking at the forearms alone. And this photo is the one I was mentioning before. I just recreated it, and you can see my arms significantly depreciated in size. My arms were pretty freaky before, and my chest is much, much, much smaller now. Again, these pictures are all without a pump. It's kind of funny because my abs and my arms and my chest, everything looks like it's deflated, but I actually don't weigh too much different. I think in this photo, the left side photo, I weigh about 183, 184. And in this photo, I took my weight measurement beforehand. It was about 178. So it's only like a 5-pound difference. But one photo has significantly more muscle, and the other photo has significantly less muscle. And this photo obviously also has more fat. The right side photo has more fat than this side because that was just a higher body fat percentage. But muscle tends to carry more. It's what they say, muscle weighs more than fat. And this is a clear example of that. We have the side tricep. This photo is a bit blurry. I'm gonna get a better photo of it after, but as you can see there's a significant difference. You can see my arm, my tricep and shoulder almost looks like it's robotic, like it's some sort of machine pieces that just got clumped together, as opposed to this one just looks kind of fluffy. And I have this, as you can kind of see here, I have like these oblique muscles here. You would think that these are, when I first started bodybuilding, I thought these were like bones, but no, this is just muscle that I have here, the oblique muscles that are bulging out, as opposed to this one where you can like kind of see it still there a bit, but it's not nearly as pronounced. And this is the better side tricep pose that I took in 2023. I was at a higher body fat percentage and I look much bigger, but yeah, we got the back double bicep pose, and this one is very clear. My arms, everything about it just looks way crazier in this photo. Granted, that's probably because of a bit of the lighting. The lighting was really good in this photo as opposed to this one just taking my bathroom. You can see there is a significant difference. There is muscles everywhere on my back, as opposed to in this one where you can kind of see the muscles, but they're nowhere near as prominent. They're nowhere near as deep. I mean, this one almost looks like I have like some sort of like face on my back. That's how pronounced the muscles are. You can see like there's almost like a face on the back, like the demon back people say, and much more definition on the arms as well. Crazy definition on the arms. There's also a sweep on the bottom part of my bicep. As you can see there's like a sweep on the bottom part, and this one there is no sweep, and that's because of the tricep muscles. The tricep muscles are completely gone on my body now, relatively speaking, compared to what they were like before. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a picture of, or I didn't take a picture of myself where you can see my entire arm. You probably see that my forearms are much bigger in the top photo as opposed to the bottom photo. So this photo is another good photo. You can see my arms there is much better peak on the top, much better peak here. Again, my arms were about, I think it was 17.5, 17.6, whereas opposed to now they're about 15.7 or something like that. There is a significant difference between the arm development there. And I'm also significantly leaner. You can see again my obliques there. That's a terrible arrow there. You see my obliques there, they're much more pronounced as opposed to here where you can still kind of see them, but it's not nearly as good. The V taper also, you can see the more of a V going down here on the top photo as opposed to the bottom photo. And the legs here, there's a much better sweep here. Yeah, this makes me look like I actually have leg development. And this photo is much more flat legs, and lost a lot of the sweep there. And here we have the last photo. It's just the most muscular photo, and you can see there's just crazy definitional difference. My arms are massive on the left side as opposed to this side. They barely even look, to me anyways, I barely even look like I lift anymore. Much better abs, much better quad sweep, much better everything. And yeah, I think this is a good summation of what you can expect if you stop working out for a year for whatever reason. Don't do it. I wouldn't recommend it. But if you're worried that you're gonna like lose every little bit of muscle, you're not going to. You're just gonna lose like a considerable amount, and you can get it back pretty quickly. I'd imagine I'd probably get this muscle back in like 3 months, and probably get even more back after like 4 or 5 months. And you can subscribe to see how that works out. But yeah, this should be a good summary. I hope you guys enjoyed. And in case you're wondering, I have been given the go-ahead to go and work out a little bit. Certainly not as much as I was working out before. Certainly not as hard as I was working out before. I'm still injured, but the physical therapist said that if I do exercise, it'll help me recover at this point. So I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to probably start building a bit of muscle back. So I thought that this would be a good time to make this video. If you're interested in seeing my recovery, be sure to like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you all next time. Peace.